In this video, we are going to talk about Mogcoin, some of its recent price action, as well as the important support and resistance areas, and where we can expect the price of Mog to go in the coming days and weeks. So we'll start by looking at the weekly chart. We have talked about this in the last video about Mog. We are basically right at this crucial support area. We are barely holding on to it, and a break below it would be absolutely devastating for the price of Mog, and it will likely lead to Mog's price just continuing to dump by an insane amount. Right now, we are still holding onto it, as I said, but honestly, considering how sharp the recovery by most of the crypto market was in the last week, by Bitcoin as well as most other altcoins, this recovery by Mog is really not convincing, and I think that it's really weak considering how much Bitcoin rallied. It is better than what we've seen in the last few months. We've seen a Mog just continuing to dump, and we've seen the dump slowing down a little bit, and right now, at least for this week, we're actually creating a green candle for the first time in about a month, and we're still, as I said, holding on to this support area, and we're slightly above both where the price was back in the liquidation event in October and where the price was back in the low in April. But still, this recovery is really concerning me, how weak this recovery is. On most other altcoins as well as Bitcoin, we've seen a much sharper recovery. Bitcoin went all the way from about 80k to over 90k in just a few days, and Mog barely even moved. So I don't really like what I'm seeing right here. I think if Mog actually starts doing well again and getting much larger green candles, more like what we've seen from the low in April, I think it's still completely possible, but I would need to see a much more significant rally by Mog to really be convinced that we will actually hold this support area and potentially continue to rally. In general, if I'm looking even further on this chart, I mean, the price chart for Mog is looking so horrible. Basically, since the end of 2024, since this high back in December of 2024, the price structure is looking just absolutely horrible. It's basically just dumping and dumping and dumping, other than that one rally that we've gotten from April to July. On the weekly chart, it's looking absolutely horrible. And it's honestly looking like one of the worst meme coins in the market right now, one of the worst structure of any altcoin really that I have covered. In general, even if I'm not just talking about Mogcoin, I think that most altcoins, especially ones as fragile like Mogcoin and other small market cap meme coins, I think that they will likely underperform Bitcoin and Ethereum in the coming weeks. I think for us to see most altcoins starting to do well and outperforming Bitcoin, we would need to see a much more significant period of euphoria in the market, and we will need to see Bitcoin continuing its rally, approaching new all-time highs, as well as Ethereum breaking into new all-time highs. But we are still very far away from that right now, and there's still a lot of fear in the market and a lot of concern about the bear market potentially starting. It is possible that the top for this market is already in from back in October when Bitcoin was at 126k. So considering all of this, in my opinion, it would not be very smart to get into Mog right now. With some other meme coins, it's looking significantly better, and even with them, it would still be incredibly risky. And with Mog's structure looking so bad, it's really not looking great in my opinion. Of course, this isn't financial advice whatsoever. It's just what I would personally do. I would personally stick to the larger market cap coins, especially Bitcoin and Ethereum. And now let's quickly cover the hourly chart for Mog. And what we can see here is that yes, in the last few days, we've seen a very decent recovery, but even this recovery is looking like it's actually starting to slow down. We may have created a double top right here. As you can see, we've had this top followed by this one, and then we broke below this neckline. This is a sign of a double top. This means that we might actually just stop the recovery here already. I think that in the short term, if Bitcoin does continue its rally and it starts heading towards 100k, then Mog will likely continue its rally as well, because the correlation of most altcoins with Bitcoin is usually very high, but still the structure is really not looking that great. And for looking even more back from here, we are still very clearly in a downtrend. As you can see, if we're looking at it for the last few weeks, we've still very clearly have lower highs and lower lows in general. So you guys, not looking great for Mogcoin in my opinion. That's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it and you want more updates about Mog as well as other meme coins, altcoins, and the entire crypto market, make sure to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.